All right, thank you very much for carrying on and coming to this next leg of the project. As I had mentioned in the earlier versions, one of the things that we need to do is make our selections so that we can affect change inside that specific area. So what I need you guys to do is to go and make selections around various pieces of this image. In this case, right hand, I need to have a separate selection of her left hand. I need to have a separate selection of her face. And then what we can do is we can apply a skin tone color to that. So I've gone and made some of my selections in advance. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to load them up as opposed to you guys watching me, being bored out of your minds, watching me make these selections. So here we have a right hand selection active. Here, once you've gone and made your selection, what I need you to do is I need you to save this selection so that we can call this selection up at any point in time later on. Even if you close this app, close down this file, close down Photoshop, and then 6 months later you want to open it up and redo something or change some colors or whatever it is, you'll be able to call up this selection. So this is what we do. Once we have our active selection going on, what we do is we go into the select menu and we go all the way down to the bottom where we see the option for us to save selection. In the save selection dialog box, in the destination, it's going to go into the current document. It's going to create a brand new channel. It's going to create an alpha channel. And then what we get here is the option to name this. So I'm just going to name this right hand. I'm going to click OK. And then I am going to go under the select menu and choose deselect. And then I'm going to go under the file menu and I'm going to choose save. Every time I make a change in my document, I will do a Command S or file save. So the change here was to load up or create the selection and then save it as an alpha channel so I can call it up at a later date. Now, when you make your selections, all right, and I'll just come back under here and pull up the next one, all right, that I want to have going on. Is it over there? No, I created them with pause, so I'm just going to come over here and grab a left hand and I'm going to choose make selection. And what I want to show you is, regardless of how you go about generating your marching ants on your screen, 9 times out of 10 you're going to want to give your marching ants, your active selection, a feather value. All right, in this case 0.3. I'm going to click OK and we have it loaded up there. If, and I'm going to go back over to my layers panel, if you created your selection live on screen, then before you save it, you must go under select, choose modify, and then choose feather. At this point, I don't believe this keyboard shortcut will work with the new Mac operating system. I think the Mac operating system has already hijacked Shift Command F6. I mean 6F. Oh God, I can't even speak English today. Shift F6 has probably already been hijacked by the operating system. You can give it a shot and see if it works. Right. So there we go. We've got this one done. So now what I would do is, again, go into the Save Selection menu, and I would type in left hand and hit the OK button. So now I have that loaded up. And then I would do a Command D, or under the select menu, choose deselect to get rid of that. And I've now made another change, so I am going to do this. Now, normally I don't go into the file menu, all right? My non-dominant hand is just sitting at the keyboard waiting to just do a Command S every time I make a change. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to load up her face. So I'm just going to come back over to the Paths panel here, and I'm going to click on the path that I have for a face. I'm going to load or make a selection and click OK, and then come over here, and there you go. You can see we actually have that face selection. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to save that as face and click OK. All right, now What I'm going to do at this point in time is, I think what we're going to do is we're going to stop this movie at this point, because what I want to do is, and I'm just going to talk to you for a second here, I want to modify the feather value that is associated with her face. As an example, this side down here and along her chin and where we meet up with this turtleneck and all that kind of stuff, that edge there where we have well-defined differences between whatever the object is and its neighboring pixels, I've given it a 0.3 feather value. But this area along her temples and across her forehead where her bangs are, we need to have a somewhat greater feather value. All right, and if I went under the select menu and if I chose modify feather and came up to this dialog box and entered a value, in this case I have 22 in there from something I did previously, what I'd end up doing is overriding the 0.3 all along here, and I'd put in 22. And that to me is ridiculous, because I don't want to have a 22 pixel feather all along her jawline and her neck. I do need to have an increased feather value up here, but I have no idea what that feather value would be. So let's do this on a more visual way. So I'm going to cancel that because I just don't want to have that. And what we're going to do is we're going to invoke quick mask mode, and we'll be able to paint our selection in, and our paintbrush will determine the feather value that we're going to apply. And we'll do that in our next movie.